The quest for transformation has always fascinated humanity. Since time immemorial, alchemists have dedicated their lives to searching for the philosopher's stone and the elixir of long life, believing they could achieve immortality and turn base metals into pure gold. But this journey went far beyond matter. At its core, alchemy was a secret path of evolution, where the true transmutation happened within the alchemist himself. Behind enigmatic formulas and hidden symbols lay a profound understanding of life and the human mind. The ancients knew that the most valuable gold was not the one that glittered but the one forged within the soul through wisdom and self-knowledge. Carl Jung recognized this when studying alchemical texts, realizing that the process described in them reflected the human journey toward individuation. But has alchemy remained trapped in the past, or does it still have secrets to reveal? If the ancient alchemists were right, this knowledge might be more relevant now than ever before. When people think of alchemy, many immediately imagine mysterious figures trying to turn lead into gold or secret formulas hidden in ancient grimoires. But alchemy goes far beyond that. Above all, it is a quest for transformation, not just of metals but of the very essence of the human being. The true alchemist is not solely concerned with material gold, but with refining his own consciousness, purifying his spirit, and elevating his mind. What good is transmuting metals if the mind remains trapped in ignorance and fear? If we look closely, alchemy is a symbolic language that conceals deep lessons about life and the human psyche. Consider the transmutation process. Lead represents our fears, insecurities, and limitations. Gold symbolizes awakening, self-knowledge, and mastery over oneself. Turning lead into gold, in this sense, means taking everything that limits you and refining it until it becomes your greatest strength. Carl Jung understood this perfectly and linked alchemy to the process of individuation, in which a person becomes whole by integrating their shadows and hidden potential. But don't think of alchemy as just abstract philosophy. It has influenced various fields of knowledge, from chemistry to psychology, from art to medicine. Many concepts we use today, such as distillation and fermentation, originated in the laboratories of alchemists. Even cooking is a form of alchemy. You take raw ingredients, raw matter, subject them to fire, a purification process, and transform them into something new. Now, imagine doing that with your own mind. The problem is that over the centuries, alchemy has been distorted, turning into a synonym for magic or superstition. Many fail to realize that it speaks of both internal and external processes, operating in the laboratory as well as within the alchemist himself. Just as a modern chemist studies the transformation of matter, the true alchemist studies the transformation of the spirit. Iron rusts if not taken care of, and the same happens with the human mind if it does not evolve. It's no coincidence that so many sages of the past hid their teachings within alchemy. It was never just about metals but about the very destiny of humankind. And if alchemy is not merely about the pursuit of physical gold, then where did it originate, and how did it spread across the world? The answer might be much closer than you think. Alchemy has never belonged to a single people or civilization. Since ancient times, different cultures have developed their own versions of this art, always with one common goal: the pursuit of perfection, whether of matter or spirit. In ancient Egypt, priests were the guardians of this knowledge, recording their studies in the famous Hermetic papyri. The Chinese, on the other hand, saw alchemy as a path to longevity, exploring substances and internal practices to attain immortality. Meanwhile, in the Greek world, philosophers sought to unite reason and spirituality to decipher the universe's secret. If there was ever a place that served as a melting pot of alchemical knowledge, it was Alexandria. At the crossroads of East and West, this city became a true center of esoteric studies. There, Egyptian, Greek, Persian, and Indian thoughts converged, giving rise to texts that would influence generations of scholars. It was in Alexandria that many alchemical terms and symbols began to take shape, laying the foundation for the Arabic manuscripts that, centuries later, would help bring alchemy to medieval Europe. Without Alexandria, alchemy might never have spread so powerfully. But one thing is certain: alchemy has never been confined to the past. Its knowledge has survived, enduring centuries of persecution and challenges. In the Middle Ages, alchemical texts were disguised in metaphors and allegories to escape religious censorship. In the Islamic world, great scholars like Jabir ibn Hayyan developed experimental methods that would later influence modern chemistry. In every era and place, alchemy adapted, keeping its essence hidden from those who sought only material riches. And it is precisely this ability to reinvent itself that has allowed alchemy to influence so many areas of knowledge throughout history. Alchemy never existed in isolation. On the contrary, it was one of the great forces driving knowledge across various fields. Chemistry, for instance, owes much to the ancient alchemists, who developed processes such as distillation, sublimation, and crystallization. The very term alcohol comes from Arabic alchemical studies. But alchemy's influence extends beyond chemistry. Its studies on substances and balance deeply shaped medicine, paving the way for the idea that healing requires precise and controlled treatment, principles that would later give rise to modern pharmacology. Metallurgy also evolved under alchemical principles, with purification processes and metal alloys being tested for centuries. Art and architecture, in turn, drank from alchemical symbolism, which can be found in Gothic cathedrals, frescoes, and even in the layout of entire cities based on Hermetic concepts. But one of the least obvious fields influenced by alchemy was psychology. Carl Jung realized that alchemical texts were, in fact, metaphors for individual development. The transformation of lead into gold was not just a physical process, but a reflection of what happens in the human mind during self-discovery. Over time, alchemy transformed, giving birth to new sciences. Many of the first chemists were once alchemists who simply replaced their symbol-laden laboratories with more experimental method. Interestingly, despite all this evolution, the essence of alchemy never completely disappeared. Even today, we strive to transmute our limitations, our emotions, and even our understanding of the world. The real question is, can we recognize these processes in our daily lives, or do we still believe that alchemy belongs only to history books? Alchemy branched into different traditions throughout history, but three of them had a profound impact on its development. The first major influence came from Greek philosophy, with Plato and Aristotle introducing the idea that everything in the universe was composed of four elements: earth, water, air, and fire. Later, medieval alchemists added the alchemical trinity: salt, sulfur, and mercury, representing body, soul, and spirit. These concepts were not mere metaphysical speculations but attempts to explain the nature of matter and its transformations. It's fascinating to see how modern chemistry still uses similar principles when analyzing the composition of elements and their interactions. As the Church gained power during the Middle Ages, alchemy had to be concealed between the lines. This led to the rise of a mystical tradition, where symbols, numerology, and the Kabbalah were used to encode teachings. To avoid persecution, alchemists like Nicholas Flamel and Basil Valentine employed metaphors and enigmatic drawings to convey their discoveries. This created a labyrinth of knowledge that could only be understood by those determined enough to decipher its secrets. Hiding knowledge was not just a survival strategy, it was also a test. Those lacking discipline and dedication would never reach the alchemical truth. Meanwhile, the Egyptian tradition brought a more practical approach to alchemy, particularly in laboratory technique. The bain-marie, widely used in cooking and chemistry, is named after Maria the Jewess, an ancient Egyptian alchemist who developed gentle heating processes. Distillation, essential for producing perfumes and medicines, also has its roots in Egyptian alchemical studies. This practical approach merged with Greek and mystical traditions, creating a field of knowledge that blended science, philosophy, and spirituality. And it's precisely this fusion of elements that makes alchemy so difficult to categorize. Alchemy has always sparked heated debates about its true nature. Is it a primitive science, a symbolic philosophy, or a mystical practice? The answer depends on the perspective of the one studying it. From a scientific standpoint, alchemy was the embryo of modern chemistry, with experiments that led to the discovery of substances, purification processes, and advancements in medicine. But unlike conventional science, alchemists did not separate matter from spirit. They believed that any external transformation was a reflection of an internal transformation. In other words, an alchemist was not just manipulating metals. He was also refining himself in the process. From a philosophical perspective, alchemy is deeply connected to Hermeticism, a system of thought based on the teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. These teachings included maxims such as above, so below, suggesting that physical and spiritual phenomena follow the same laws. This explains why so many philosophers, from Paracelsus to Carl Jung, saw alchemy as a symbolic map for human evolution. The process of transmuting metals is, in reality, a mirror of the development of consciousness. On the other hand, the image of alchemy as magic comes from how its symbols and texts were hidden over the centuries. Many alchemists used codes, metaphors, and even riddles to convey their knowledge. This led to alchemy being associated with occultism, witchcraft, and unfathomable mysteries. However, this simplified view ignores the fact that behind the enigmatic words, real transformation processes were taking place. Perhaps the greatest mistake is trying to fit alchemy into just one category when, in reality, it moves fluidly between all of them. But if alchemy cannot be easily defined, then what can be said about its most legendary symbols, such as the Philosopher's Stone and the Elixir of Life? Few symbols in alchemy spark as much curiosity as the legendary Philosopher's Stone and the mysterious Elixir of Life. In popular imagination, the Philosopher's Stone is seen as an artifact capable of turning any base metal into pure gold, while the elixir is thought to be a magical potion granting immortality. But true alchemists have always known that these concepts were never meant to be taken purely literally. The Philosopher's Stone represents the pinnacle of inner transformation, the purification of the soul, the achievement of self-knowledge, and mastery over one's own limitations. In this context, gold symbolizes an elevated state of consciousness, where the individual is no longer enslaved by destructive emotions. The elixir of life follows the same logic. Rather than being a mere liquid that ensures physical immortality, it represents the pursuit of balance and inner harmony. For Taoists, for example, true longevity does not come from a potion but from a way of life aligned with the natural order. After all, what good is living forever if the mind is in ruins? In the West, this concept resonated with philosophers and scholars who realized that true immortality lies in what we leave behind, our knowledge, our actions, and the impact we have on others. However, this does not mean that alchemists never attempted to find these substances in a literal sense. Throughout history, many sought secret formulas to transform metals and prolong life. Some even achieved remarkable results, leading to discoveries in chemistry and medicine that continue to be used today. But the greatest lesson of alchemy is that its true power is not found in external formulas but in internal work. And it is precisely this principle that ultimately influenced the emergence of various modern sciences. Many people don't realize it, but alchemy was the great precursor to many sciences that shaped the modern world. Chemistry, for instance, was born from alchemical experiments. Processes such as distillation, sublimation, and fermentation, used in today's laboratories, were techniques developed by alchemists seeking to understand the transformation of matter. The flasks and retorts used in ancient alchemical laboratories evolved into the equipment of modern chemistry. If we can produce medicines, perfumes, and even fuels today, it is because there were once those who believed that matter could be manipulated and transformed. The contributions to medicine are even more evident. Alchemists developed methods that would later give rise to pharmacology, replacing superstitious beliefs with treatments based on experimentation. The idea that substances could be used to restore balance in the body deeply influenced the advancement of medicine. The very concept of chemical balance in the body, used to understand how medications work, has its roots in alchemical ideas. Thanks to these advances, medicine moved beyond primitive treatments and began to be based on more precise principles. But alchemy's influence did not stop there. Carl Jung realized that alchemical symbols were actually representations of the individuation process, the journey each person takes in search of self-knowledge and psychological balance. His work helped bring alchemy into the realm of psychology, proving that its concepts are still relevant in today's world. What was once seen as esoteric mystery now reveals itself as one of the greatest forces behind the evolution of science and human thought. And if alchemy has influenced the modern world so profoundly, could its principles still be applied to everyday life? If alchemy helped shape science, medicine, and even psychology, what can we still learn from it today? The answer lies in inner transmutation. Just as alchemists sought to turn base metals into gold, each person can transform their pain, fears, and limitations into strength, wisdom, and growth. How many times have you felt trapped in destructive patterns like insecurity, procrastination, or lack of purpose? Alchemy teaches that everything can be transmuted, as long as we understand the process. The lead of the mind, that is, mental blocks and negative thoughts, must go through a purifying fire to become gold. In today's fast-paced world, where everything is disposable and superficial, inner alchemy becomes even more necessary. The search for meaning, which once took place in the laboratories of alchemists, now happens within each of us. Instead of looking for answers outside, true transformation comes from diving into one's own unconscious. Carl Jung realized this while studying ancient alchemical texts. Every process of individuation is a journey of self-discovery, where we confront our deepest fears to become who we truly are. And this is a quest that never grows old, because true alchemy has always been about evolution. So, how can you apply this in practice? Start by identifying the patterns that hold you back. What thoughts need to be purified? What habits must be refined? Modern alchemy no longer takes place in laboratories but in daily life, in the choices we make, and in the transformations we allow within ourselves. The true alchemical gold is not something external, it is clarity, peace, and mastery over one's own life. The question is, are you ready to begin your own transmutation? Alchemy has always been a path of transformation, far beyond the pursuit of gold or immortality. Its true purpose is human evolution, refining the mind, expanding consciousness, and finding inner balance. And just like the ancient alchemists, we all undergo transmutation, shaping who we are with every challenge we overcome. If you want to understand yourself more deeply and unlock your hidden potential, I invite you to explore my ebook, Alchemy and Archetypes, Exploring Inner Transformation Through Jungian Psychology. In it, you will find practical exercises to apply Jungian psychology principles in your daily life. Now tell me, what within you needs to be transmuted? Leave a comment and share this knowledge. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep exploring the mysteries of the mind and inner transformation.